You're sitting at your kitchen table, it's 11:30 p.m. on a Tuesday, and you've got 3 different browser tabs open. One is your bank account, one is a spreadsheet you've been tinkering with for 3 years, and the third is a calculator. You just looked at your balance and realized that after months of skipping the expensive dinners, driving a car that makes a weird rattling noise every time you hit 40 miles per hour, and saying no to that weekend trip with your friends, you finally did it. You hit $10,000. But here's the weird part. You don't just feel okay. You feel like you just won the lottery. You feel more powerful with that 10 grand than your uncle looks with his $80,000 SUV and a massive lifestyle creep habit. You start looking at the world differently. You're not just surviving anymore, you're plotting. But then that voice in the back of your head kicks in. It says, it's just $10,000. In the grand scheme of retirement or buying a house, it's a drop in the bucket. Why does it feel like I just climbed Everest? My name is Matthew, and I spend way too much time thinking about the psychological friction of building wealth. If you're someone who feels like you're running on a financial treadmill, working harder and harder, but never actually seeing the needle move, make sure to hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up if this helps you out. Because today, we're going to talk about why that first $10,000 is the hardest, most statistically significant, and psychologically transformative money you will ever earn. The math versus the feeling. Here's the thing. Mathematically, $10,000 is 10% of $100,000. That's basic math. But in the world of wealth building, the first 10K is 80% of the work. Look, most people think that building wealth is a linear line. They think if they save $500 a month, the feeling of progress will be the same in year 1 as it is in year 10. They are wrong. Building wealth is like trying to push a broken down car. Phase 1, you are behind the trunk, veins popping out of your neck, screaming, and the car isn't moving. That's your first $1,000. Phase 2, the tires give a little screech, it moves an inch. That's $5,000. Phase 3, the car starts to roll. You're still pushing, but you aren't screaming anymore. You have momentum. That is $10,000. This is where it gets really interesting. Once that car is rolling, it takes less effort to keep it moving than it took to get that first inch of movement. The survival gap. Most people never reach the $10,000 mark because they get exhausted in phase 1. According to recent Federal Reserve data, roughly 37% of Americans couldn't cover a $400 emergency expense with cash. When you are in that 37%, you are living in a state of constant cognitive load. Your brain is literally using its processing power just to calculate how to survive until Friday. When you hit $10,000, that survival noise in your brain shuts off. And for the first time in your life, you can actually hear yourself think about the future. The cost of entry fallacy. Now you might be thinking, Matthew, $10,000 isn't that much. Inflation is high, rent is insane, 10 grand doesn't even buy a used Honda Civic anymore. And you're right. In terms of purchasing power, $10,000 isn't what it used to be. But we aren't talking about what you can buy with it. We're talking about what it does to your DNA. Here's what most people don't realize. The first $10,000 is the cost of entry for your financial confidence. Let's look at the math of why this feels so big. If you have $0 and you save $1,000, you have increased your wealth by an infinite percentage. If you have $1,000 and you get to $10,000, you have a 10x return on your initial effort. To go from $100,000 to $200,000, that's only a 2x increase. To go from $1 to $1.1, that's a 10% increase. The feeling of growth is most violent at the beginning. You are literally watching your status change from debt adjacent to capitalist. You are no longer just a line item in someone else's profit and loss statement. You are a person with a stake in the game. The psychology of the safety buffer. There's a psychological concept called locus of control. External locus, you feel like life happens to you. The car breaks, you're screwed. The boss is mean, you have to take it. You feel like you make life happen. When you have $0, you have a 100% external locus of control. you are a leaf in the wind. But when you have $10,000 sitting in a high-yield savings account, and please, for the love of everything, make sure it's in a high-yield account. Don't leave it in a big bank savings account earning 0.01%. Your locus of control shifts. This is the walk-away power. If your boss asks you to do something unethical or yells at you in front of the team, the person with $0 says, "Yes, sir, sorry, sir," because they have to pay rent on the first. The person with $10,000 thinks, "I could literally not show up tomorrow and I'd be fine for 6 months." You might not actually quit, but the knowledge that you could changes the way you carry yourself. You speak more clearly, you negotiate better, you take calculated risks. That $10,000 is actually a psychological shield. The math of momentum, the boring part that matters. Let's get into the numbers, because I know some of you are spreadsheet nerds like me. Let's say you save $500 a month. To get to your first $10,000, it takes you 20 months, ignoring interest for a second. That's nearly 2 years of grinding. 2 years of saying no to vacations. 2 years of feeling like you're getting nowhere. But here is where the math flips. Once you have that $10,000, if you leave it in an index fund averaging 7% to 8%, that money starts working for you. Eventually, the interest earned by your money will surpass the amount you contribute. But that can't happen without the $10 base. $10,000 is the critical mass. Think of it like a snowball. At the top of the hill, you are sweating, packing a tiny bit of snow together with your hands. It's hard, it's cold, it looks pathetic. But once that ball is 12 inches wide and you give it a push, gravity takes over. The first $10,000 is you packing the snow. The next $90,000 is gravity. Why it feels like $100,000. There is a phenomenon in psychology called the goal gradient effect. It states that as we get closer to a goal, our efforts increase. This is why you run faster when you see the finish line of a race. When you have $500, the finish line of being wealthy feels so far away that your brain doesn't even bother releasing dopamine. It feels impossible. But when you hit $10,000, you've proven the proof of concept. You've proven you can earn more than you spend. You can delay gratification. The system actually works. Suddenly, $100,000 doesn't look like a fantasy. It looks like a math problem. You think, wait, I just did that. If I just do that 9 more times, or better yet, let compound interest do half of it, I'm there. The jump from $0 to 10K is a behavioral shift. The jump from 10K to 100K is just repetition. That's why the $10 feels so heavy. It's not the dollar amount. It's the weight of the new person you had to become to earn it. Common objections, but Matthew. Now I can hear the comment section already. Matthew, I'm trying, but every time I get to $2,000, my transmission blows or my kid needs braces. I can't get to $10. Look, I get it. Life is expensive. But here's the hard truth you probably don't want to hear. If you keep having emergencies that wipe out your savings, you don't have an emergency problem, you have a structural spending problem. Most people use their savings as a deferred spending account. They save up $2,000, wait for something to break, and then say, oh well, thank God I had the savings. No. You need to protect that $10,000 like your life depends on it. You treat it like a temple of momentum. If you have to pick up a side gig, if you have to sell the stuff in your garage, if you have to eat rice and beans for 6 months, do it. Because once you break through the $10,000 barrier, the emergencies start to feel like inconveniences. When you have $200 and a tire blows, it's a crisis. When you have $10,000 and a tire blows, it's a Tuesday afternoon at the mechanic. The math is the same, but the stress is gone. That's the secret sauce of the first 10K. Actionable steps, how to get there fast. You're not going to get to $10,000 by hoping there is money left over at the end of the month. You have to be aggressive. 1. The invisibility rule. You need to make your savings invisible. If you have to manually move money into your savings account, you will fail. Eventually, you'll have a bad day. You'll see a pair of shoes or a new tech gadget, and you'll convince yourself you deserve it. Set up an auto transfer the day after your paycheck hits. If you never see the money, you don't miss the money. 2. The rule of 100. Try to find $100 a week to cut or earn extra. That's $400 a month. Over a year, that's $4,800. Halfway to your goal just by cutting the subscriptions you don't use and maybe selling that mountain bike you haven't ridden since 2019. 3. Change your narrative. Stop saying I'm trying to save. Start saying I am building a $10,000 fortress. Language matters. Trying to save sounds like a chore. Building a fortress sounds like a mission. The surprising insight: it never gets this hard again. Here's the most surprising thing I've learned about wealth. The more money you have, the easier it is to make more. It sounds unfair because it is. When you have $10,000, you can afford to buy in bulk, saving 15% on groceries. When you have $10,000, you can pay your insurance annually instead of monthly, saving 10% on premiums. When you have $10,000, you have the mental bandwidth to look for a better job because you aren't terrified of being unemployed for a week. Wealth begets wealth. The first $10 is the hardest because you are doing it with zero help from the system. You are swimming upstream. But once you have it, the current starts to turn in your favor. If you're at $500 or $2,000 or even zero, I want you to understand that the frustration you feel right now is normal. It's the friction of the tires against the pavement before the car starts rolling. Don't judge your long-term success by your current speed. Judge it by your consistency. That first $10,000 feels like $100,000 goes because it represents a total transformation of your character. It's the moment you stop being a victim of your finances and start being the architect of them. You've got this. Just keep pushing the car. If you found this helpful, do me a favor. Leave a comment below and tell me, what's your momentum goal? Is it $1,000? $10,000? Let's talk about it in the comments. And if you want to know exactly where to put that first $10,000 to make sure it grows as fast as possible, click this video right here where I break down my favorite high-yield strategies for beginners. I'll see you in the next one.